Alright, if you guys are new to the channel, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification icon so you know when I'm uploading and streaming. We are going to be doing part 3 of Lake of Voices here in a few. And also don't forget to share. Sharing is caring. It helps out the channel, spreads word of mouth. So we get more people so we can gradually get to 1,000 subs and start being able to get newer content. Because I'll be finally able to afford, hopefully, next-gen game systems like a PS4, Xbox One, etc. Even a PS3. So, further ado, let's get to the game. Why did it go back to... No. There we go. I was going to sit there saying, like, why did it do that? Let's see here. Yeah, we don't need the friends list. You're going to play, right? An error occurred while updating Lake of Voices app running. Okay, so we gotta, what? There we go. Load. Oops, excuse me. I released a discreet sigh, retreating. Luckily, no one was injured or lost during the ordeal. I keep that thought to myself, however, hearing it would only make Margaret feel worse. I force myself to sound bold. Margaret attempts to smile at me, Bramil waves as I cautiously back up to my original position. I return my full focus to the shore as we fear this is becoming a pressing situation. More prowlers rose from the waters, while my intention was on those two. They surrounded the guide on both sides. The only way to gain distance from them would be to drill further into the island, yet the guide shows no signs of giving up his position. He remains where he is, resolving to keep all the monsters near him in his sight. I grow more unnerved the longer I watch this. The guy seems impervious to danger of Sinlos. This is the first case where I can tell whether he will continue to be fine as always or not. It's a stressing notion. As they creep ever closer, I can stay silent any longer. He doesn't face me, but replies, I grip my lantern tighter as I swallow hard. What can I do? As if to answer my own question, this thought whispers into my mind, and I look down at the lantern in my hand. I could throw it, as long as I don't let it go too far down the shore. It doesn't seem plausible that Nynx could take it. But if I do lose the lantern, especially after Margaret lost hers only moments ago, then we're gonna do it! I'm not firmly to myself, set on the decision. I've seen the guy before him to move right in front of me. I know it isn't an impossible feat, but now something has to be done. I inch my way over to the most advanced group of Nixie. They drift slowly as they attempt to get behind the guide. I'm of no concern to him, at least for the time being. The guy spots me and makes eye contact from her. He doesn't say anything and abruptly fixes his gaze elsewhere. It gives me the impression that he's aware of what I'm planning on doing. He's ignoring me because he doesn't want the Nixie to recognize a coming threat. I stayed in my arms and assume a strong stance. I stop for a heartbeat to take a deep breath. Then jump forward a small way and toss my lantern towards the group of Nixie on the ground on the guide's right side. Yeah, caught completely off guard, practically wheezing as they scatter and dive back into the depths below. None even attempt to steal the lantern. That is a great relief. The guy seizes the moment to swing his staff at the group of nixies on his left. The light edging closer to him, combined with the general chaos disturbs the creatures enough to frighten them. The group joins the right in retreat. The guide observes the water line, making certain that they have all crawled back into the water and then release a small sigh. He walked over to retrieve my lantern off the sand where it landed, keeping his eyes fixed steadily behind him. Tentatively, I take a few steps towards him. He spans his arms forward, offering my lantern back to me. I've never gone so close to the guide before. He hasn't allowed it. Being in his presence, this way feels unclear. I don't have the words to describe what it turns inside me. This is supposed to be a horror game. But anyways, his eyes are expectant, impatient, and I waste no more time. I move to set it by flinch before I grasp it. His face hardens, scrutinizing the unexpected reaction. I banish whatever expression was on my face and take hold of what was mine. He let it go, though does not make any attempt to leave. I don't believe it is because he's worried about leaving me in the darkness. He still suspects something is wrong. When would that could be? The guy washes closely as I set the lantern aflame once more. Its light gently washes over me, and I smell it. At the sight, this tool I hold is one of the exceedingly few comforts one can have on signals. Do not wish to part with it again. It's still here, and I begin to worry the guide intends to punish me for what I've done. I may have let an emotion show on my face again because he starts to speak. Okay, what a dick. Our enigmatic lead nods, and upon finishing up his thoughts, he returns to his original place. I stare flabbergasted as he at the guide's back. By chance, I was put in circumstances that allowed our values to align, but never would I have expected him to acknowledge that I made an acceptable decision. I stopped myself from getting further distracted. Instead, I glanced down at my light and realized the glow looks different. I wince. There is a large crack wiggling curving up the back. I'm thinking that it still works. Still, I fear that it will not hold out until the morning. I look forlornly at the fragile glass surrounding the simple flame. In a way, this event has forcefully reminded me of how fragile my own life is. One slip could mean the end of everything. Regardless, nothing can be done. Presently, we've got enough to worry about as it is. I cannot let this consume me. We will continue to resist against this lake. After an untold period of time, the water begins to stir. There's unusual gurgling. A sound I never thought I would be this relieved to hear. Slowly creaking, the bridges make their nightly appearance. Since is an overrun, crude environment, this island had felt like a safe haven a short time ago, but that has been twisted to the point where I'm grateful for a chance to return to the maze, and we may not even reach that. More nixies start breaching the water and wrenching themselves onto the sand. The guide signals to all of us Thanks to his mission on the shore, the guide is able to board the bridges without confrontation. For the rest of us, however, the Nixies begin to crowd the opening. It appears they want to get on themselves. We had desperately little time before we be cut off from the guide. I took to my lantern. Will this light alone be enough to cause them to disperse? Margaret shouts, cut straight through my thoughts. Oh, she made a torch. She's advancing towards me, holding onto a heavy stick with the end set on fire as a makeshift torch. A sight striking. She needs not to say any more. The three of us push our way forward as we advance. Margaret relays her plan. Shore approaches closer and closer, and every single one of the Nixie turned their attention towards our small group. After luring Margaret, she gives her all to hurl the flame ahead of us while we're avoiding setting the bridge itself on fire. Monsters flee from the torch. A path is clear. We waste not one moment sprinting towards the bridge. With the others near my side, I'm able back into the maze. We don't stop until there's a considerable distance between us and the shore. It is there that we encounter the guide. Upon seeing his figure, I hide a sigh of relief. We haven't been left behind. Our arrival doesn't change the guy's empty expression. He doesn't say or do anything, instead allowing all of us to catch our breath. Brimille starts to laugh incredulously through uneven breaths. Margaret chimes in, uniquely amazed and exhausted. Margaret looks at him curiously. Brimille gives her a wink. Margaret's lips quirk into a smile. We treasure a moment of triumph for a little more before the guide ends his silence. I quickly straighten myself out, and moreover, our current situation, we start to consider how we are going to travel now that we only have 2 lanterns. At that, I become fraught with worry. Look over Brimille, concern riding through my body as I wonder how he fared being so far away from the light source. Margaret, her consideration touches me. I smile gratefully at her. Brimille and I confer with our eyes before silently agreeing with one another. We nod. Other than having a bit of a crowd as opposed to an entirely straight line, our journey moves ahead as it did the night before. Silent night creeps along as we carefully move through the thick fog, making us certain not to bump into one another. Then my lantern blinks, it fizzles out. The 3 of us grasp simultaneously as I hold my breath, like time will stop with my breathing. To my great relief, the light flutters back on. The air I've been anxiously holding in releases as a sigh. The guide has halted but does not bother to turn around as he asks the question. I watch as he shifts his head back to look at us. The stare he gives is probing and deeply unnerving. He doesn't believe me. He returns his gaze. My expression's blank. He remained locked in this moment. I can feel his patience with me slipping away. He chooses not to spend any longer waiting for an answer that will not come. The guide faces his back to us once more. He acts without word, but I know he isn't satisfied in our small group shared anxiety. Rin looks as the guide moves on. I look down at my lantern. The crack seems larger than ever. I feel as though I am cracking with it. There's nothing I could do to fix it. Should it go out for good? I can feel that they're apprehensive over the situation, and undoubtedly curious as to how it happened in the first place. However, this is not the time. I don't want to draw attention to this for fear of the guy catching on. The chatter of Nixie bubbles up out of the darkness and I gulp harshly. The thought crosses my mind that they too have noticed what just transpired. We walk for quite a bit longer. The voices whispering amongst each other has died down, but the squishing clicking of prowlers has replaced them. It's difficult to trace the exact origin of the sound. All I know is that it's far too close for comfort. The guide stops abruptly, bringing us to an awkward halt. Unluckily, there are no impacts between the three of us. Okay. My eyes, my eyes are drawn to the guide. He's making small movements, cautiously pressing his foot into the boards in front of him at different spots. Could something be wrong with the bridge itself? My theory is proven correctly almost immediately. God, this keeps making it harder, doesn't it? He doesn't allow us time to answer before darting forward. He steps are light, but beneath him the wood creaks loudly. The guy breaks his cautious steps, testing the security of the bridge. I face the others. Demo elects to lead and start going forward, inching gingerly across the trembling boards. After some distance, I begin to follow, focus on keeping my movements steady. Margaret is the last to leave. The three of us carefully navigate the creaking, sagging wood. We attempt to keep to the guide's path in hopes that the boards will hold. I feel my foot lay heavy on a board. It bends. Hair recently under me. I wince as I slowly step off of it. I wonder if we should be crawling on all fours to spread our weight over a wider space, but that may make us vulnerable to those creatures. The focus is broken when I hear a shout from ahead. Benlo's foot has snapped through the bridge. I instantly rush forward, but the abrupt movement and added weight causes the board to splinter completely. I hit the cold wire like a slap, smacking my head on a falling chunk of wood. All I can do is try to swim back to the service desk. The thick hold of the wire's growing fog is in my mind. Before I can reach it, I feel something latch onto my legs with a grip like an iron manacle. I struggle to kick the weight off, flailing my legs, desperate as my air supply dwindles. It only tightens its grip so much I can feel my ankle bones caving in. It drags me further away from the upper world of air, light, and life. I can feel more claw hands grab me with an icy turning of my insides. I realize that it's already too late for me. Despite this, I struggle and thrash about as much as my burning lungs will let me, so that if he fell into the water too, I can at least keep the monsters busy with me. The last sense of purpose keeps me fixated even as my senses get fuzzy and drag lower and lower with a vague smile on my face until the darkness completely overtakes me. Well, I got an achievement. Well, we are just going to be going... I'm going to see what happens this time if I don't... I can't act harshly. The guy has managed through every situation we've been through, as well as countless others we did not bear witness to. I resolve to continue with what we've planned and keep my position. Without flinching, the guy keeps hold of our position on the waterline. I periodically switch between watching him, the others, and the rest of the shore. As I scan the forest, there's a stinking groan. What was that? The guide? It can't be. I stand rigid in shock, painful prickling sensation going down my back, before whipping around to face the truth. He's crouched, low on the ground, staring forcefully at the group of Nixies head on. There's a whole other group of monsters rapidly crawling back into the water. Step forward with a shout, but he puts out one hand to halt me. Do not go further. And those creatures mostly watch for what he'd do. His fingers curve tightly around the upper half of his staff. With great effort, he begins to rise to his unstable feet. The moment he is fully upright, the guide aggressively swings his lantern at the approaching Nixies. He catches them completely off guard, and they scatter to join the rest in the Black Depths. Ooh. the guy comes back into the sand unceremoniously. I can hear his ragged breaths as he regains his own composure. He tugs at one side of his cloak, bringing it up closer around himself. It covers up a dark growing stain creeping through his right pant leg. Even while collapsed, he seems compelled to hide his fragility. Is that Admiral or Satin? I do not know anymore. The guy roughly pulls himself back onto his feet and forces himself to remain standing. The rest of us must remain strong as well if we are to survive this night. Gripping my lantern, I watch over everything and everyone in sight vigilantly. After an untold period of time, the water begins to stir. There's an unusual gurgling sound, and I thought I would be relieved to hear slowly creaking the bridges. The bridges make their nightly appearance. Stillness is over in the crew environment. The island had felt like a safe haven. So a short time ago, but that has been twisted to the point where I'm grateful for a chance to return to the maze, and we may not even reach that. More Nixies are breaching the water and wrenching themselves onto the sand. The guide signals to all of us. We have desperately little time before we get cut off from the guide. I took my lantern. Will its light alone be enough to cause him to disperse? Okay, so this part's the same. Aurel doesn't change the guy's empty expression. He doesn't say or do anything, instead allowing all of us to catch our breath. Rainbow starts to laugh as she through enough uneven breaths. Margaret chimes in equally as amazed and exhausted. Almost as soon as he finishes his statement, he's demonstrating falling back down. His hand slipped down the shaft of his staff. As he sinks to the ground, he grasps under his breath. I take a few furious steps closer, I reach my hands towards him, which he curls away from like a barn cat. He turns his gaze up to me and shakes his head. Moments tick by as I stare at him, growing even more nervous. As horrible as his injury is, the larger situation at play is dire for all. It is the weight bearing down on each of us, trying to bring the entire group to his knees rather than only our lead. We can't stay here. His eyes, his feet with gritted teeth, and clenches his staff tightly. A beat of quiet passes before he continues, his voice slightly ragged. Shakingly, he removes a hand from his staff and reaches into his cloak, searching for something. I have little other choice but to watch as he searches his pockets. The panic that we thought was past starts creeping back in. He retrieves a small vial with a viscous liquid inside, swishing slightly as he holds it up, a periodic cautiously. I analyze the vial hastily, pensive as I mull over the possibly other effects it could have. Something that potent would be a miracle drug if there were no downsides along with the positives. He regards me as his lips twist part way into a snarl. I flinch slightly. He wouldn't usually snap at such a question. The pain must be truly getting to him. Bimel steps in closer to the guide. His question is harsh enough to be the man. Bimel trust in the guide has steadily declined since the first night. With the way he's acting, I can't ignore the sense that it may come to a head before the journey is over. The guy levels a deeply unimpressed look at the Bimel. He then sighs, raising the bottle up so that it's more visible. He swishes it almost impatiently. Immediately, Bimel's eyes widen incredulously. Margaret quiet grasps, bringing a hand to her mouth. The guy heaves an air sigh through the pain, and it makes it sound more akin to a groan. He is still impatient with the group's delay as the time marches on. Margaret looks at Bellows, then at him skeptically. Bimbo takes another heavy step forward. He meets the guide's eyes stonily. Bimbo presses forward, encroaching on the guide's personal space. The guide visibly shrinks back again. However, he can't hobble much further away due to his injured leg. Before the guy can put forth another word, Vermel brazenly snatches the bottle straight from his hands. Everyone is stunned to silence Vermel's actions. Even the guide has trouble expressing any sort of emotion beyond furious disbelief. Brumell ignores all of our reactions and smells triumphantly, holding the bottle like a trophy. What a dick. But anyways, you can't run us now, buddy. So you're stuck. But we already know from my death scene I just had that the boards are weaker than usual. On this bridge that only appears at night. The guy narrows his eyes at Brumell, who only gives him a taunting grin. Yeah, I guess. Brumell shrugs and returns to smirking almost cockily. Cocky. Brumell chuckles. Is that R or an N? Yeah. Derisively and rolls his eyes while spinning the medicine vial between his fingers. Despite Brumell's sarcastic jab, the guide returns to his usual empty, deadpan expression and makes no attempt to a rebuttal. Brumell then turns to look at us curiously. Margaret snorts slightly at the inquiry. Not really. He wouldn't still make it that far. Still being too much pain. Because like I said, it slows his reaction down in his mind. He might run right into the water for all we know. Yeah, I'm gonna save that just to be sure. Just be on the safe side. Alright. Brumell pulls a mischievous smirk. Margaret shakes her head at his response. However, she doesn't seem too upset over this. She seems more at ease than she has been for some time. Brumel seems rather pleased by the reaction thus far, grinning widely at us. He puffs his chest out proudly. Marg can't suppress the laugh that bubbles up from her chest. She waves off Brumel's boasting with a silly grin on her face. Brumel faces me unexpectedly. The guy also levels a steel gaze in my direction. We may be having a bit of fun getting the upper hand on the guys for a change, but if we don't go back now, we never will. Though we do, do we truly need to? As matters reaching the shore safely, what really is for the best is in this situation. Brumel grins whines ecstatically at my lack of resistance. Feel nerves turning my inside jittery as I think over doing something so drastic. No matter the fear, this has to be done. Even a guy can be trusted to show us the correct path. He is not reliable when it comes to anything else. If we let him do as he wishes, it's very possible that at some point during the night he will leave us to die. Not really, unless something changed since I took this option. Brumel lets out a small, triumphant laugh, tosses the vial over to me. I catch it and quickly tuck it away in my pocket. We return it to its rightful owner once we've made it to the shore. Brumel steps up to the guy at his side, who still shrinks slightly beneath him. The guy narrows his eyes at Brumel's as Brumel grows near. The guy stares at him plainly. Brumel snorts out a sarcastic laugh. He bends down, grabs the guy, lifting him over his shoulders. Brumel is careful not to bump the guy's legs. He's still wrenching pain, clenching his staff tightly as he jostles back and forth. However, the arrangement is quickly settled, and Brumel is ready to begin walking with the guide in tow. Margaret has hand over her mouth, looking like she can't decide whether to laugh or weep at the state of our journey. Brumel gives him a nod and starts to walk across the shoggy boards as the new head of the group. We walk along the bridge together in stillness. The guide occasionally instructs of what the path to take is. The only convention that reverbs in the night. Steps echo throughout the bridge, and I'm more acutely aware of just how many paths there are spread across the lake than ever. Even the voices of the lake are quiet, but it's no consolation, for in their place is the otherworldly squishing sounds of the prowlers contorting their aquatic forms across the boards. It's impossible to tell exactly where they're coming from. The sounds seem to echo in every direction at once. All I know is that it's too close for comfort. I do my best to ignore the feeling, but the sound still fills me with a constant, lingering dread. We cross a long path and come across a strange sight. It's a bridge which curves in, it becomes more narrow in the middle than usual. Eyeing the dubious bridge wary, I grow nervous at the idea of getting that close to the edge. Bimbo place slows before coming to a stop directly in front of the foreign way. For once, he looks to the guide for this matter. The guide approaches the bridge, looking intensely down the path ahead. Brimmo eyes Ryan at the displacement before gritting his teeth and speaking with a tone coated with suspicion. The guy's sounds is confirmation enough for Brimmo. He scouts defenses derisively, then purposefully strides forward, planting his feet on the mouth of a narrow bridge. The guy still does not speak. He looks completely unfettered. Bimbo doesn't take kindly to Guy's dismissiveness. He lifts his foot for a second time, stretching it out ahead of his body, threatening to move even further down the narrow way. He's bluffing, isn't he? I've known Brimmo for a few years now, and I wouldn't assume even his recklessness will go this far. Yet I cannot help but hold concerns. One wrong step could mean the end for the both, regardless of how serious his intentions are. Has gotten this out of hand. For only a second, I catch the guy looking my way. The moment I realized it, however, he returned to staring down Brimmo. Brimmo snarls under his breath, but puts his foot down where it originally was. He then even takes a few steps back, his head lowered in defeat. Seems we have no choice. I reach in my pocket to take out the file belonging to our guide. Brimmo places this guy back on the ground as I hand the medicine towards him. He takes it from me and downs the entire dose almost instantly. Oh, dude, really? Uneasy and regretful glances are shared throughout our party, none is showing more of those emotions than Brimmo. We were forced to accept that, for better or worse. On signals, the guy decides all. It's disheartening. At the very least, the guy gains his mobility back in short order, as he soon assures us. Shake off the heaviness of what happened and put my focus on the task ahead. I give a firm look to my traveling partners and hope they feel the same. With no further discussion, the guy smoothly glides across the bridge in the center until his effortless walks brings him to where the boards were widening again. Now it's our turn. If only a single lantern shared between us, we have to be mindful of how to cross without leaving anyone in darkness. Fighting over what person to take, the person in front could potentially stall the others or bump into us, so it seems important to send someone capable of crossing without stopping. Yet it may also be better to send someone who could possibly be left behind first to ensure that doesn't happen. I look over to my two companions who also seem pensive over this decision. None of us want to make the wrong choice. Hope dearly to myself that we're exaggerating how dangerous crossing this thin bridge will be. Bill nods and gives her a sly smile. Okie dokie. With the order decided, the three of us carefully start to make our way across. First, Bramil steps onto the narrow bridge. A few seconds later, I follow after him. And after a pause behind me, Margaret also starts going across. And yeah, it did change, because before I died, the bridge was brittled. Now it's just a very narrow path. So it did change. So the choice you just make changes how you progress. As we inch our way across, something strange starts to happen. I notice the bridge starts to bend down to the right. I suddenly realize that the weight of all of us is stretching the support beams. The others have noticed as well as sounds alarms sound from both in front of me and behind. I speak in a hushed whispers, trying to remain calm. Think over a predicament. I can't leave Margaret behind. There's nowhere for her to go, with no other source of light nearby. Mormel could try going by himself while keeping still. We aren't close enough to the guide that for Bill to remain light completely. However, with only him moving, hopefully the bridge will remain stable enough for him to cross it quickly. With him safe on the other side, we will have an easier time keeping the bridge from bending again. Can't be sure if it's worth the risk though. These concerns may be a knee-jerk overreaction to seeing a sign of danger. If all of us going as slowly as possible, we could still cross together. I hastily share my thoughts on the matter with the other two. Everyone listens to me intently. A look comes over his face, and it's clear that he's not fond of the idea of leaving us behind. I shake my head and urge him to go. Margaret keeps quiet, a silent agreement towards the plan. He sighs and nods, primarily sucks in a breath, and carefully starts to walk down the bridge. Mostly stays in one place. The bridge slightly creaks from side to side. Lucky it is not in the stream enough tilt to unbalance anyone. Bramil suspiciously reaches the edge of my light. For a moment, he stares down at the path of darkness. He then moves quickly without hesitation. He makes it closer and closer to the other side, when suddenly a twisted backwards arm, glossy with black and wire, bursts from the side and latches onto Bramil's leg. Scream pierces the air as Bramil tries frantically to separate himself from the links. Simbi digs his claw deeper into his leg, which causes him to shriek even louder. I stare in object horror as the sense enfolds me. The bridge shifts and begins to bend for a strain again. There's little Bramil can do to resist. He rolls out the bridge into the water. I shout to Pyrenees as my voice can't help. He fights to keep his arm out, refusing to go completely under. Soon, even that is pulled down. Bill never surfaces. There's no so much as a bubble coming up from the lake. Nope. I am going to go to load. Yes. We're just going to fast. Alright, there we go. Oh yeah, we're gonna. Alright. I don't want to stay here. What if it breaks? Okay. Both of them nod, and so we begin inching our way forward, focusing my thoughts on putting one foot in front of the other, keeping my balance in check as I try to remain centered. Despite our best efforts, however, the bridge begins to tilt sideways once more. We can't stay in sync with one another, causing the front bridge to bend down to the left, while the back twists to the right. All of us, all of us moving our pushing at once, only for comfort contorts the bridge that begins to rock dangerously back and forth. I start to struggle to remain on my feet, let alone be perfectly centered. Isn't it me alone? A lot of us struggle to keep from toppling over at the bridge waves from side to side. Hear a high-pitched yelp from behind me. I turn my head and see Margaret is slipping. She shuffles haphazardly on her feet and draws dangerously close to the edge. Reach out to her, and futile as it is, she has already lost her balance and topples over the side of the bridge completely. Shot there, but my voice can't help. She struggles just below the surface of the thick wire until the monsters make their way to her. She never resurfaces. There's someone says a boat coming up from the lake. Oh, so either way, we have to sacrifice someone. Creeps back into place, sloshing as it settles in its worsened position as if nothing happened. An eerie stillness overtakes the area as I stare, mouth trembling, at the place of my companion once lost. I'm overwhelmed with feeling, my eyes fill to brim with tears. Why did this have to happen? If I have any time to grieve, the guide voice rings out on the wind from across the bridge. Screw Margaret. I saved it, so if you guys want me to save her, I can always go back and have Brumel die, but we're just going to keep going. I call my breath as I attempt to calm myself. As long as I stand here, Brumel can't move. Ben replies with a great meal, however, there's a quiet anger running through his response. Now, with only 2 sets of feet instead of 3, it's not as difficult a journey to make. The mere idea of one of us being missing pains me to my core. After we make it to the other side of the narrow bridge, and the remaining 3 of us stand together quietly as we process what happened. I place my free hand over my face to cover my eyes as I begin to weep. Not all of us made it, no matter how many times I stated it in my head. I'm not able to make myself accept it. We were all here just a moment ago, and yet now, how could this have happened? And like I said, leave down in the comments if you want Margaret to survive or Brumel. So we are going to make this save 1. This is one where Brumel lives, and this is one where Margaret lives. Let's put it that way. Hold on, let me check real quick. Yep, okay. So it's where we get the guide his vial back, so yeah. So I'm going to end it there. Let's hit a let go of 20. And obviously, leave down in the comments who you want to live, Margaret or Brumel. And see you guys in the next one.